And this is the invitation to a screening of a film that I made about Saftarada. Yeah. Yeah. Safta. That's right. It was actually more about our dynamic, about her dry way of telling her stories and my frustration because she didn't really entertain my more melodramatic sensibilities as a director. And this is an image of some body art that I did in my junior year. I artificially suntanned the image of a light bulb on my back. It was kind of a criticism of modern standards of beauty and artificial cosmetic enhancements. And this was part of a series of adornments I made for bodily gestures of my loved ones. See, this was an adornment for Safta Miri, for Grandma Miri doing a backstretch. And this was an adornment for my boyfriend at the time in mid-sneeze. I was interested in the tension between temporal movement and static sculpture. You know, I was a pretty good artist once, Shmaya. I went to art school in New York City. That paid a full scholarship to everyone that got in. And I didn't find it hard to compete with the guys at all. I had my own voice, and I thought I'd always make art, even if not as a career. And even when I got out of art school, I kept making art, and I felt even freer to express my deepest emotions to the world. And I got really good feedback for it. And even when I married your daddy, who doesn't know the first thing about art, and I found myself living this life so far away from New York City, I didn't think it would be detrimental to my practice. In fact, I thought I could even use it as inspiration to make a new kind of art. One that was based on love and acceptance rather than judgment. And when you were born, Shmaya, I knew I'd have less time and mental energy to make art, but I figured if I just put in an hour a day, I'd be fulfilled and I could do amazing things with you as my subject.
Nachman. Voy, Hamuda, voy, Kadima. Nachman.
But I don't know what happened, Shmaya. When you go to sleep, I try to work on art, but I haven't come up with anything that I'm nearly as proud of as what I did when I was single. I can't seem to pose those questions that are so interesting that they keep even my mind happily churning throughout the repetitive days. It feels like I have to force the ideas out of me, and there's no inspiration from above. So it's no wonder that they're quaint and unremarkable, because they're just cloned out of my own DNA. And then the last film that I made tried to answer this question of why I find it so hard to make art about you. And I suggested that the answer would also explain why other artists rarely feature their kids in their work. Let's take a walk to the computer. Why don't I just show it to you? Becoming a mother has taken over most of my waking hours, as well as emotional reserves, but it has not replaced my artistic urges. Alright, fine, but be careful with this. See, this is you trying to play the kalimba. We don't rest anything on this because the skin is very delicate. Whoa! And what would I creatively express, if not the preoccupation to which I've surrendered, raising a child? Yet I have no idea how to go about this. No more dropping things off the table. And when I think of it, children rarely show up in their parents' art. What's stopping us? it's nice, but it's not art. All my artistic friends had so many valid criticisms, like that the arguments aren't sound and the voiceover is too rambling, and it just takes away from the footage of you, which is really all they're interested in seeing.
Yeah!
So I put it up on YouTube, but not as an art video, just a video. It's like everything else that I make lately, some video blog about my difficulties making art. A proxy for art itself. Yeah, Popeye. Yeah, a book, that's right. And all I want is to be able to look at the footage and have it tell me a story about you, but the story never reveals itself. And every story needs a conflict. And every story needs a conflict, and I'm stuck on this feeling that if I can't show the awfulness of your dirty diapers to the audience, then I'm not telling the full story. Like, is that what's left of the drama in my life?
What did you find? An orange? Yucky, yucky. Let's throw it on the ground.
The only conflict I do see is the one I have with my own performance as a mother.
Yuck. Just yuck. It's Pilakaki. Throw it on the ground. Maybe one of the chickens will eat it.
Yeah. Bye-bye. You know, Shmaya, throughout history there have been very few great women artists. And I feel like I've fallen prey to this phenomenon, even though I don't really identify with any of the usual reasons.
Might want to go to Popeye?
I mean, I have the talent and the training and the tools and the drive to make art despite being a mother. But it feels like I've become so mired in this life that I can't step out of it enough to comment on it.
Shmaya, give him the bread. You're not afraid for your hand?
It's like a subjectivity syndrome, or like an irony deficiency. And Shmaya, soon you're gonna have a baby brother or sister, and I'm gonna have even less time and mental energy for art. You'll no longer be the center of our world, and I have this foreboding feeling about being overtaken by this flood of family life. So in a way, Shmaya, we're going through this together, and the best we can hope for is to survive and meet on the other side. Just remember, Shmaya, your mom was once a good artist. And when you get older, remind me, okay? Okay?
No, what's it?
Are you happy I brought you a baby? Oh, that's because she's feeling good. Those go on her hands. You want us to put on her hands? We could do that. We'll dress her. Okay, let's get a diaper. You are so good. You are such a big help. And this is Donald Duck, and it's a sand clock. The sand goes down, and that's how you know what time it is. Do you think I just have it too good, Shmaya?
Yeah.
Do you think I'm not finding my art because I'm looking for it in conflict and tension? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's hard with the two of you, and I'm exhausted, but eventually you guys get exhausted too, and then I find myself in front of the computer, and I can talk about it. I can be the artist I so wish to be. And with that precious gift of time, what story am I going to tell? About how hard it is to be a mother and an artist? I don't think that's our story. It doesn't admit how blessed I feel, which it turns out is a lot harder to express than my disappointment. Shmaya, where are you going? Shmaya, come back here. I'm trying to make some art.
La la la.